Hello and welcome to the Mattniverse. Today we're going to further explore HiveSwap Friendsim, since yesterday we did Marcy's story and found out that she likes to clean a lot. Then we met Foleycall, and then she kind of gave Foleycall a little bit of advice to help energy transfer. But now we move on to Karako, who looks very energetic and very well utilitied out, with a lot of soda and knives apparently. Very interesting. Apparently with her, or him, gotta find out, don't really know, they kind of sometimes surprise you with that. I don't know, because the horns are interesting. They're painted, which we found a clown last time, and hers I don't believe were. So it's very interesting. Gotta see what's up with that. Having learned the dangers of using the public thoroughfares, you've taken to dodging down byways and skulking in rear areas, trying to spy out individuals who look ripe for friendship while avoiding the more criminally insane denizens. Just now, you're following a windy footpath. Winding, not winding. Ugh. Just now, you're following a winding footpath through the undergrowth surrounding a neighborhood where the local hives are spaced far apart. You came creeping along this footpath for safety. You should have known better. The undergrowth here is like most of the other life forms on Alternia, evolved to ruthlessly purge the gene pool of the weak and the responsible. Coiled, spring-loaded stalks with foot-long thorns, flanked with writhing bushes with razored-edged leaves, which in turn crowd tentacle flora with toothed lobes oozing liquid that hisses and smokes when it touches the ground. Sounds like an acid plant. Very interesting. Oh boy. Extreme caution is needed, just as it's needed in every circumstance on this planet. While your time on Alternia has gotten you accustomed to injuries, you still shrink from being impaled or sprung thorns and dissolved in acid. You should have known the eventuality you would have to come up against the local flora, so you proceed discreetly, avoiding poison fronds and trying not to step on trigger roots. But suddenly your vegetative focus is interrupted. You hear footsteps on the path, and then turn around the corner comes a small figure. Oh, that was fast. Following me, are you? Either that or just coming the other way. Its face and horns are painted with smudged black and white marks. Despite its diminutive physique, it has some of the most impressive horns you've seen on any troll. What the heck? Then the small figure sees you too, and is so startled it jumps a foot, impaling its thorns in an overhanging tree branch and sticking there so that its small legs pump helplessly in the air. Honk! You beg the small person's pardon and assure him that you are fully as startled as he. So there's a he. Okay. You go on to explain that you are not dangerous, but that even if you were, you would not want to come to strife with even a small person with horns of that size. Honk? Yes, you will be happy to help him down as long as he promises not to attack you with the many bladed weapons that are stuffed into his belt. That's what I thought so too, he's fully equipped. Or with a dozen cans of inexpensive soft drink held in bandoliers across his chest. It strikes you suddenly that a neighborly gesture like helping someone whose horns are stuck in a tree branch can scarcely fail to kindle the light of friendship. You dare to hope that this will be the case now. Edging forward, you get close enough to see that around the small clown's neck hangs a dog tag or ID necklace. You tilt your head and crane your neck to read the writing on it. Karako Pirot, if lost, call Branya. Hey, Branya, okay. Suddenly this all makes sense now. This Karako Pirot, I don't know how to say that one, Pirot, it could go either way, must have been one of Branya's reject runt regulars, who, having grown to childhood under her tender care, has gone out into the world to seek his fortune. That would account for his small size, short legs, and small stature relative to his horns. You eagerly pull out your palm husk, happy for an excuse to pester your old friend, but you've got zero signal out here. You wonder if the surrounding vegetation eats palm husk signals. That would be interesting. Just as it looks like it eats everything else, you disappointingly slip your palm husk back into your pocket. Honk? Is there any clicking? Nope. You apologize for the delay, explaining that you were surprised to find that you appeared to have an acquaintance in common, whom you hope you will have time to discuss later. For now, you are ready, willing, and hopefully able to help him down. You hope he won't be offended if you slip behind him first. It's not that you object the bladed weapons or those who stuff dozens of them in their belts, but you feel that there's one he's wearing could ruin your look if buried into your torso, however, unintentionally. You edge past the weapons, being careful also not to touch the spring thorns growing at the edge of the path, or their trigger roots. Once you're behind Karako, you cross his horns firmly and pull, withdrawing them from the tree branch and allowing him to drop lightly to the ground. Honk! That's just all we're gonna hear. That's great. Apparently I can understand him though. You tell him that he's very welcome. Then there's a moment of awkward silence as you try to think of something else to say. Fortunately, your new potential friend is not as devoid of the social graces as you are, and gets the conversational ball rolling himself. Honk? You explain that you are indeed a stranger in these parts, and that you actually don't fit into any of the hemospectrum categories. Wild, right? Although not quite as strange as you used to be, you'd like to think. You're really starting to blend in with the local color. Honk? Well, you'd rather not exhibit your blood just now. Yeah, don't do that again. You're a couple of quarts low due to the robust conditions of life on Alternia, some of which you have recently had the honor of encountering. Honk. You sympathize. Slinging along these hidden paths in the Alternian woods can be tough on the morale. The smell alone is enough to make strong men weep, and the vegetation looks like it was designed by the Marquis de Sade. I hope I said that right. Not that he knows who the Marquis de Sade is. You can't help but feel that it would be so much better if only had a skulk buddy, you continue. How wonderful it would be to travel these dusky lanes with a kindred spirit, a twin soul, a fellow traveler, an immediate crony. Intimate crony, not an immediate. You're such an expert on friend synonyms by now. Honk? No, you haven't met anyone like that earlier, but you would certainly like to. Your new potential friend is obviously thinking seriously about this issue, so you back off. Give him space. You pretend to be deeply immersed in studying one of the razor-sharp leaves on one of the writhing bushes beside the path. You aren't one to force yourself on others, or try to unduly influence their friendship decisions. Okay, well, maybe you forced yourself on others in the past, and tried to influence their friendship decisions. Kinda, sometimes, yeah. You just always butt into their conversations. Makes sense. Maybe you've ever even done this a lot, but you've recently evolved as a person. You now know that friendship is something that has to come authentically from within. Friendship is spontaneous. Real friendship sprouts naturally from the soul of mutual respect. The best friendships grow and ripen over years, and are not rushed or forced. Of course, you've only known this small person for about 5 minutes, but you have to start ripening sometime. You're reflecting thus on the theme of friendship when a loud pours suddenly from the sky above you. It's a crackling, sizzling sound, like a sinuous thing with too many legs struggling in a hot frying pan. Karako jumps so violently that he nearly gets his horn stuck in the tree again. Looking up, you see a floating metal object, vaguely troll-shaped, but huge, faceless, metal, and with numerous sets of lightning bolt-shaped horns coming out of its head and neck. It's also not very sparkling conversationist. Its remarks in a flat, echoing blare. It elaborates further. Honk? Run a drone. Leap to your photo friend's aid, or proto friends. Could be a photo friend too, you never know. You have a face like that, just take an instant selfie. I'm gonna leap. You leap to your proto friend's aid. Thinking quickly, you push Karako against a large rock that juts out of undergrowth nearby, and jump in front of him, shielding him from the drone with your body. You then pretend to be leaning against the rock in an attitude of tranquil repose. Several of the bladed weapons in Karako's belt poke you in the ass. Whoops, sorry. But you don't let this show on your face. He's pretty good at hiding pain. Instead, you yawn elaborately and check your wristwatch, which you don't have a wristwatch, of course. But you don't think drones know what a wristwatch is anyway. You pretend to smoke a non-existent cigarette. Man, you are playing it a little too casual with all these things that you don't have. Again, you're not giving anything away, because drones don't know what cigarettes are either. But the drone has apparently taken an interest in you. It floats down between the trees and undergrowth, and hovers above the path several meters from where you're pretending to relax against a rock after a long day of hiking through a scenic shit-smell forest. It's quite a terrifying sight, actually. The drone observes soullessly, making Karako jump so that several of your internal organs are threatened. However, you maintain what you believe the local populace would call a stiff upper whistle pillow. The drone's blank metal head studies you, or it could be studying something in the opposite direction, or even taking the drone equivalent of a piss. I can't still have a straight face. You can't really tell from its expression, but it has no features to make expressions with. This examination or non-examination continues for some time. But your diminutive potential friend is well hidden from view, and after a while, evidently concluding that you are an immediate inanimate object that makes unaccountable gestures with its wrists and fingers, the drone floats upward again, gaining speed until, with a dree, it whizzes off somewhere to find other hapless non-standard citizens to euthanize. Oh, it worked. I guess I am that insignificant then. It didn't seem to care. Even though I was making stupid gestures, I probably shouldn't have. Should've just played it cool. You know? Arms on the rock, act like nothing's wrong. That should've been fine. When it's gone, you stand away from the rock and rub several sore places that have been pierced by bladed weapons. You turn to Karako to comment on the recent fervor, but stop when you see the look he is directing at you. A warm and admiring look. An affectionate and esteeming look. A look of friendship. Your first impulse is to throw your arms around him and lean in, but on second thought, remembering his pants arsenal, you put your hand for a warm handshake. Victory is so close! But before you can seal the deal on this sweet friendship transaction, you hear a disturbance further down the path. God, can't the narrative chill for one single moment? Especially a moment when you're about to consummate a beautiful friendship? You turn to look. The footsteps, several sets of them, get nearer, and around the bend come three figures. Three figures wearing swimming outfits, lots of gold jewelry, and, oh god, insinuant expressions. Close enough. Three figures with gills on their necks and small. Oh, so these are the fish folk, I guess. Stylized fins on their face. Oh man, is it possible that you finally happen upon a group of the legendary seadwellers? They stop short when they see you and Karako, obviously startled. They study you, you study them. Then Fithead Interloper 1, that's a great name for that, in a one piece and diamond earrings whispers to her companions, and all three burst out laughing. Finhead Interloper 2, in a violet wetsuit and rings, slaps her thigh, and Finhead Interloper 3, in checkered swimming trunks, holds his sides. Part of you is relieved. Laughter drives out the devil, is the best medicine, and in any event is better than homicidal mania. On the other hand, this laughter isn't friendly. It's cold, mocking, and supercilious. These sea dwellers are obviously laughing at you, not with you. You notice Karako's cheeks flushing purple under his face, and his jaws clenching. However, he just stares with stony dignity at the interlopers. This just makes them laugh harder. The first sea dweller says, "What are you two supposed to be? Shrimp Cassidy and the Squimmus Kid?" says her second companion. "A coal bait minnow and his mutated soft-shell crab," says her third. "Looks like the minnow well one went down on the clown, causing it to spurt out the other one." The sea dweller's laughter is redoubled. You continue expressionless at these insults, but to your dismay, Karako's face is taking on a harsh, glowering look. You guess that such a tiny dude has probably been victimized by bullies his whole life. And, as you happen to know, there are no bullies like Alternian bullies. Honk. You tell them to let them talk all the shit they want. Don't let them provoke you. They're trying to get him to do something stupid. If he doesn't react, they'll get bored and go away. Honk? No, remember that drone? It's probably still around here somewhere. Touch a scale on their heads and you could be rendered into mother grub feedstock. Hey, bottom feeders, no whispering when you're in the presence of your bathers. What? Presence of your bathers? The heck is that supposed to mean? And you, little buoy, put a respectful expression on your recognition surface. Be more like your friend, the slender manatee over there. In fact, why is it that you two are so perpendicular? In the presence of sea dwellers, you should be bowed at your right anglers. The first sea dweller seems to have an affinity for cheesy ocean puns. I can see that. You bow to the sea dwellers. You have your dignity, but you also like not getting killed. Oh, that's pissing him off. Karako remains stubbornly upright, his face getting angrier and purpler by the moment. The bladed weapons in his belt jingle from his enraged trembling. Oh, see the little clownfish? He's getting angry. Looks like he's gonna shit his pants. Oh, don't say all that. What did I tell you about your face, boy? Didn't your Lucis teach you anything? I doubt you even have a Lucis. A self-respecting Lucis would never let a shrimp like that out of the hive. Unless his Lucis is just as defective. And there he goes. The Lucis cracks are too much for Karako. Ignoring your hissed warnings, he suddenly leaps snarling into the air, draws bladed weapons from his belt in each hand, and hurtles toward the sea dwellers. Yeah, we're just gonna say he's gonna kill you. That's pretty much what those honks would probably mean. Grab him by the coattails and try to keep him from perspirating a disaster. Leap into the fray and lend comfort and support. Sure. Why not? That seems right. You leap into the fray to lend comfort and support. You would have consoled Karako to turn the other cheek, and keep turning cheek after cheek until the sea dwellers got fed up and went away. But now that things have hotted up, instead of heated I guess, you're not about to let down the side. Karako crashes into the sea dwellers, his bladed weapons whirling like a blender. You scamper close behind him and kick someone in the shin. It hurts your foot, but it doesn't seem to have any other effect. I'm just a weak little guy, what do you expect me to do? These sea dwellers are made of tough stuff, or extremely flimsy, or you're extremely flimsy. Signs have recently pointed to the latter. True. Your next sortie is more effective, however. Thinking quickly, you pick up a rock and throw it at the trigger root on the spring thorn growing along the path next to where the violet bloods are enduring Hurricane Clown. The coiled stalk springs out, impaling the dude with a dozen foot-long thorns. He's thrown off balance, and violet blood begins to flow copiously down his body. That's a hue you haven't seen before. Kinda pretty, although you probably shouldn't be admiring that right now. But these sea dwellers are made of tough stuff. He yanks the springthorn stalk away from him, pulling the thorns out, and flings it into the woods. Then he takes out a pocket handkerchief and starts patting his injuries gently. Okay. Meanwhile, Karako's bladed weapons have not been idle, and the other two sea dwellers are likewise leaking violet blood. But these bastards are hard to kill. You remember Polypa telling you that. As you watch, one of them grabs one of the bladed weapons from Karako's hand and buries it in Karako's stomach. This, unsurprisingly, is distracting for a poor little clown, allowing two of Fenny's sons of bitches to grab handfuls of bladed weapons from his belt and bury them in various parts of his body. You dance around delivering harmless kicks and curses. I am so pathetic. Karako is still waving his weapons, but he seems to be waving them more slowly now. Then, as more and more bladed weapons are buried in his body, he seems to lose focus. The weapons he's been brandished fall from his hands. Finally, he falls to the ground in the center of the spreading pool of purple blood, twitches feebly for a minute, and then is still. You stare in disbelief at the corpse of one who, if you had been spared just a short while longer, would have been your friend. One despised and rejected, a clown of suffering, familiar with pain. Then had flogged him and mocked him and spit on him, and then killed him. You struggle to come to terms with this. While you're doing that, one of your remaining sea dwellers grabs you by the hair and I had hair? Okay, I didn't know that. And suplexes you onto the ground. Your head snaps back and pain explodes behind your eyes. You are left lying on your back and trying to stay conscious, which is why you have a good view of what happens next. The heck? In the dark sky above you, something opens. Something even darker than the sky. A hole, like a cave in the clouds. Where the heck am I? It widens until you see that in the cave, a carousel with wooden horses mounted on brass posts rotates, and horses plunging up and down in time with carnival music played by a mechanical organ. Riding the horses are naked store window mannequins, their legs slung awkwardly over the horses' backs, their stiff arms down by their sides in whatever pose they were created, their horns huge and wildly shaped. In the darkness above the carousel, other naked mannequins with plastic wings tied to their backs are supported on wires, and above these in turn a net of white Christmas tree lights twinkle against the roof of the dark cave of circus tent or whatever it is, throwing their dim starlight illumination down on the rotating carousel. As you watch, two of the winged mannequins break loose from their wires and fly down from that dark region into the night sky and the dimension Alternia occupies. They maneuver until the stiff hands on the ends of their stiff arms are underneath Karako, and then lift him up into the sky and into the dark carnival. That is very weird. You hear a last faint, reviving honk as they set him on one of the wooden horses, and then the hole into the sky closes, and there is nothing but the night sky above you. All is silent and still again. An odd feeling comes over you. You don't think you've ever felt such a feeling, just the reality of how utterly insignificant you are. Sure, you spent the last few months wandering with no desire but the desire for connection, and you are, in a way, a being unique in this galaxy. But honestly, what does that even mean? You flint in and out of people's lives, there one minute, gone the next, always moving from friend to friend. You are, for all intents and purposes, a virtual non-entity, a blank point-of-view vector. Bland, I said blank. A neutral second-person narrator, barely coming into the picture. A retiring entity, expressing only a simple one-dimensional desire for friendship. But just about now, you feel that things have gone pretty far, and just about now, you feel that you've had about enough. Enough of arrogant high bloods. Enough, in fact, of short wavelength hemotypes carelessly and without compunction killing and maiming and exploiting those of longer wavelengths. Of a survival of the fittest regime that seems to come down to survival of the most violent psychopaths. Is this a moral universe or is it not? You ask yourself, are repulsive cruelty and sickening evil punished in this universe or are they not? Does an ethical force operate in this universe or does it not? You don't know the answer to these questions, but you do know one thing. You intend to depart from where your one-dimensional persona. You intend to punish repulsive cruelty and sickening evil if it comes within your ability to do so. You intend to create an ethical force field in your local region. You intend to exert some moral gravity right around where you are if you possibly can. And you realize that this odd feeling you're having seems to be drawing moral Higgs bosons out of the moral ground state, and right out of the fabric of this multicolored blood-soaked planet that heaves under your feet. You take on the aspect of Clown Sarker. Seizing 2 cans of inexpensive soft drink from where they fell from Karako's bandoliers, you shake them and pull the pins. Then, with malice afterthought, you direct the twin streams at the seadwellers. You smell banana and strawberry as the deadly streams play upon them. Already weakened, they fall back with cries under their withered onslaught. As soon as the streams slacken, you take up 2 more cans, shake them, and deal out death to the unrighteous. You smell peach and diet root beer this time, but no pity softens your heart. You won't care even if it were pineapple watermelon you were spraying on these brutes. But these fin heads are made of tough stuff. You said that like 5 times now. We know. Rallying even in the face of this intense onslaught, they push forward and, seizing some bladed weapons from the purple blood pool, advance upon you. Not one step back. You vow to the memory of Karako Pirate. I'm just gonna go with that. You stand your ground, in desperation grabbing some cans of diet tonic water and club soda and opening up your batteries once again, but to no avail. A trident pierces you to the bone, followed by a scimitar, a tomahawk, a short spear, and so many other bladed weapons that the sheer weight of them drives you to the ground, where your red, precious blood flows in moderate streams, mixing with the purple blood in of your proto-friend. This is the end, you realize, but you are glad you died in righteous battle. You are glad you created even the tiny sputtering, temporary moral force field in your local region that you did. You can feel your life and narrative point of view slipping away, but you are content. Yet that's what you see above. What's that you see above you? A dark space has opened up, even darker than the night sky, and two stiff, long-winged figures are descending. They land next to you and gently place their stiff hands under you, and then ascend once again, lifting you higher and higher into the darker space. As you pass the boundary of the heavenly carnival, your life seems to revive within you, and as the fabric of the place closes around you and the two stiff mannequins place you on a carousel horse next to Karako, you realize that planets, universes, dimensions, realities, powers, principalities, and cosmos come and go, but friendship is forever. Oh. Well, at least you guys are together, but is there a route that doesn't make you die? That's, very interesting. At least I did go out fighting, I suppose. It did work. Well, let me see. So let's try run. You run in wild panic. It's a drone! Even the Alternian badasses you've hung out with have been terrified of the drones. Up close, it's one of the most terrifying things you'd ever seen, and it's making noises, which you didn't know they even did, and which probably means something sinister. You race at top speed down the twisting path, focusing your senses to their breaking point to avoid trigger roots, razor leaves, and acid pods. At first you hear the pattering of small feet running behind you, but as you redouble your speed, the padding falls back and after a while is lost in the distance. You sprint for what seems a lifetime before you finally catch your foot on a trigger root and go flying through the air, barely missing being sliced into 100 pieces of tumbling ham by the barbed spring vine that lashes across the path only inches behind you. You land in the dirt, wind knocked out of you, but otherwise unhurt. You lie there catching your breath and waiting, but nothing happens. No enormous metal monster whizzes down the path to impale you. No small clown-faced individual overtakes you on his short legs. Finally, after enough nothing happens. It just seems weird to say that so fast. After enough, nothing happens. You pick yourself up and dust yourself off. You're alone on the path, and no sound of either friend or potential friend or foe can be heard. No birds sing, which is probably good. You imagine that any birds native to this forest would probably sing by croaking up putrid sludge, and that the sludge would be poisonous or radioactive. But leaving aside the character of the local fauna, what should you do? Keep on down the path, putting more distance between yourself and the drone? Or should you go back and see if Karako is okay? You waffle for a while, then decide to go back. You sneak back along the path. You sneak a long way. But however far you go, there are no signs of either Karako or the drone. You don't know whether the drone picked Karako up and took him away, or disemboweled him and scattered the fragments, or whether Karako leapt into the undergrowth and hid or escaped, or what. One way or another, you're all alone again on this path through shit-smell forest. Yep, all by myself. Well, there's one more, and I guess it's to try and hold him back so we don't die to the seadwellers. Let's see what that has to do, I guess. I wouldn't think that that's how it would end. We have more potential friends, I'm sure, so there's no way that that would be the end of the friendship, is you dying. But in a way, it's a good ending, too, because, I mean, you are together at the end, and you went out fighting, which is something you don't normally do since you're kind of weak. You can't really hurt anybody. I guess the drinks didn't really help either, but yeah, well. So we grab him by the coattails and try to keep him from precipitating a disaster. You leap forward and grab Karako by the coattails, or by his belt. You aren't actually sure what a coattail is. Jesus, he's strong. You can barely hold him. It's like trying to restrain a small truck. His legs rotate wildly, kicking up a cloud of dust, and he brandishes his blades wildly in the direction of the seadwellers. After a startled moment in which they jump backward, the seadwellers have started to laugh again, coming up with more stupid insults and fish puns. This is not happening. Karako runs twice as hard, honks twice as loud, shakes his weapons twice as threateningly. Hey, hey, you shout at Karako, trying to be heard above the fracas, I guess. Holding on with all your might and digging into your heels. You have half a mind to just let him go, to pay the seadwellers back for their insults, but you try to keep a cool head. You're doing your proto-friend much more good trying to restrain his wrath. You have now succeeded in wrapping your arms all the way around him, and now you get in front of him, holding him back with straight arms, bellowing soothingly into his face, and trying to avoid the bladed weapons he is brandishing. But it's not working. You can see from the contorted features, the barred teeth, and disdained nostrils with smoke coming out, I guess they do that, the blazing eyes that Karako is getting more and more enraged. And suddenly, his rage seems to reach a kindling point. His body vibrates violently, his eyes glow huge and round. And suddenly from his body, something like that nuclear blast pressure wave of fear and violence sends you flying through the air, like a scrap of paper in a gale. What the fuck? Are you hallucinating? But you can see as you soar above the path that the seadwellers aren't laughing anymore. In fact, they're screaming in terror and fleeing wildly, blundering into razor leaves, being impaled by spring thorns and burned by pod acid, and generally receiving the stern retribution that awaits assholes. Then your head collides with a tree branch and you are rendered unable to narrate for a while. Okay. Well, hey, he's back to normal. You wake up lying in the dust. As consciousness returns, you realize that you're lying on the path, and as it returns further, that a small clown-painted figure is seated next to you, quite calm now. He smiles fondly as he sees you sit up. Honk! You realize you smile in return. You express relief that he realizes you were acting in his best interest, holding him back from the finheads. And now, though largely because of his unexpected burst of clown sorcery, or whatever that was, everything has turned out for the best. Karako holds up his arms for a hug, but then remembering the bladed weapons in his belt, sticks out his hand. You shake it warmly. Wow, that was a lot faster than the ending I thought it would be. The whole death kind of ending actually was a lot longer. But either way, we did get a new friend, even though very violent he may have been. That was unexpected. And he didn't talk much either. I mean, all he did say was honk, so I guess that really... you can't really translate that much. Apparently, the character understood, which was good, at the very least. But, yeah, it's quite interesting. So a new friend joins, and apparently who is raised by Branya. I wonder if I'll ever take him back. Or if he ever will go back. Maybe he'll just wander around for a while. Who knows. But as interesting as that was a very sad ending of the first time. I didn't expect to die like that, but as long as you went with him, and then you were next to him, hey, that's all that really matters, you know? I went out fighting in his honor to try and, get them back for what they did. It didn't work, but at least I tried. What can you do? So, now I guess we wait 2 more weeks to see what else more other friends that we get to obtain. More stories that are very interesting. I wonder if we ever will get to meet a sea dweller friend, or a few. I haven't seen them yet, but they are pretty much jerks from the ones I saw. Hopefully I won't meet people like that. I hope. So, thank you for joining me for this adventure. I'll see you guys for the next adventure. Bye.